Should the Bears keep Justin Fields, Drew? Should they?
You know what, Riv? I am going to defer to you. You are the Bears guy.
Riv,
and I also wanted to respect you as a brother of mine. I wouldn't call it crazy.
A little bit.
I just understand that he knows that where you're going. But
that hasn't ever stopped anybody before.
no, I respect you right now. Let
It
me hear your
has
thoughts.
stopped where people.
I feel like you took a turn because of but you know what?
That's exactly. You know what,
That's
Riv?
neither here nor there.
I tried to save you. I tried to save you. I tried to,
to
keep allegations away from
Yeah,
this.
I understand. I've been looking a little pale lately.
They
so
should
you-
keep Justin Fields.
So you're getting a little funny over there, but listen, you can go, Drew.
Really?
Yes.
All right, listen. Do I think they should move off Justin Fields? Unfortunately, yes. For the idea that you see the strides that they've made on the defensive side of the ball. I've been talking about it for weeks. They have one of the best rush defenses. You're seeing their pass defense really come into fruition these last few weeks. The addition of Montez Sweat, the way that TJ Edwards has been playing, Jalen Johnson in the secondary. I'm not trying to take a slight at Justin Fields. I'm not at all. I think he's a solid football player, and I think that moving off of him, it's not an indictment on Fields. It's more so making the smart decision for the Chicago Bears' franchise. It extends the amount of time that they have to pay their franchise quarterback. And on top of it, you'll be getting draft compensation for Justin Fields, which from what I'm seeing is around a second and a third or potentially 2 second-round picks, which would be fucking awesome. And then you're going to have the number 1 overall pick. You land Caleb Williams. Depending if the Bears shock the world, go Drake May. I think the obvious selection should be Caleb Williams. And then you're probably going to be around that pick 7 to 10, and you can get yourself another wide receiver alongside a DJ Moore to really solidify the weapons that you're going to have Caleb Williams going into that situation with. Or you draft an offensive lineman, which I wouldn't be too opposed of either which way. You see the strides that the defense has made. Finally, that's been the big thing. I know they had that defense a couple of years ago when Khalil Mack was in town, when they had Mitch Trubisky, and they were unfortunately a first-round exit the year they were the number 1 ranked defense. And then they fell off pretty tremendously. But now Matt Eberflus has done a great job of getting back with the addition of Montez Sweat. You're really starting to see the evolution of this defense. It's not me saying Justin Fields is a bad quarterback. It's just making the right business decision and drafting Caleb Williams number 1.
I haven't seen enough growth from Justin Fields to bypass Drake May or Caleb Williams. I think last year was a bit of an easier decision because obviously hindsight, CJ Stroud looks like a no-brainer franchise quarterback. But at the time, there was even conversations who should go number 1, whether it was Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, some outside opinions about Anthony Richardson. I think last year was a lot easier because the quarterbacks weren't as good, and also the package was pretty insane.
Yep.
Getting DJ Moore, who's turned into their wide receiver 1, all of the draft picks they got. But this year, the quarterbacks are so damn good, man. If you put Justin Fields in this draft class, he's at best the 3rd best quarterback. You know, if Justin Fields was here with Caleb and Drake May, he's pretty clearly, to me, the 3rd best quarterback out of all of those guys. And what I've seen this year hasn't been enough for me to number 1, the financial implications of you reset the quarterback clock. You now don't have to worry about paying this quarterback for 5+ years. Instead, for Justin Fields, you have to think about paying him, a year or 2 from now, if he's even worthy of being a franchise quarterback and getting that $100, $200, $300 million contract that we've seen throughout these last couple of years. Because the numbers right now for Fields aren't that pretty. I mean, completing 61% of his passes is basically the same thing he was doing last season, averaging about 250 yards per game. 9 interceptions, 10 fumbles, 16 passing touchdowns. What's his rushing touchdowns at? He's at 4 rushing touchdowns. So what's that? 20 total touchdowns. It hasn't been enough growth from Justin Fields for me. Did you say Daniel Jones? Good Lord. Wouldn't go that far.
He missed hella games. I'm joking.
No, but I haven't seen enough growth from Justin Fields to be able to just bypass his number 1 overall pick, right? I do think there's a world where Chicago could talk themselves into it. I feel like we have been getting more Justin Fields hype these last couple of weeks. Of course, you had the chant after the Atlanta game saying, "We want Fields, we want Fields." But I don't know if I could take that Atlanta game, even though he played amazing, one of the best games of the season from Justin Fields. I can't take that one game and be like, this is enough for me to be able to say Justin Fields is a franchise quarterback. He has too many moments where he's inaccurate, careless with the ball, holds on to the ball for too long. There's still a lot of problems with his game. That's go back to his rookie year, even coming out of college, although I was super high on him. hasn't turned into the quarterback that even I was expecting. You know, he has moments where he could look like the most electric quarterback in football, right? You saw a play this past game where he has two guys trying to sack him. He's able to break out of it, go and get the first down. You're like, holy shit, how did you do that?
Caleb can't do that, man.
Caleb can undoubtedly do that. Caleb could do that. Drake May isn't as...
Can he do it? I don't know about that. That play's crazy.
No, Caleb can do that.
He can brush off linemen like that?
No, he can.
Two of them in one play?
He's not
The
as
Falcons,
strong.
Arnold Ebiketie and whoever else. Yeah, Caleb can do that.
He's not as strong as Justin Fields, but
That's what I mean.
He's shifty as hell.
He is.
You know, he's not as strong, but he is shifty as hell. He's able to evade
for sure.
Evade sacks. But I haven't seen enough from Justin Fields, Rev. I am sorry. You know, I was rooting for him right there every step of the way. And I do think there's a chance, he goes to an Atlanta, a different place where you get an offensive-minded head coach, where maybe you're able to unlock him a bit more. I haven't been the biggest fan of Chicago overall in terms of offense philosophy. I feel like they could be very wishy-washy. Sometimes I feel like they have a great game plan. Sometimes I feel like the offense has no idea what it's doing. It has been better the second half of the season than the first half of the season. But Caleb Williams and Drake May are generational prospects to me. These are going to be two guys that I have the utmost confidence that are going to be franchise quarterbacks, almost to the point where I don't really care where the landing spot is. That's going to matter a ton. We saw it with Trevor Lawrence. But these two guys are so damn good. And you also have a first-round pick that's not Carolina's. You're going to have another top 10 pick, so you can address either wide receiver 2 or build up the offensive line some more, the defense where you could fill up some other holes. But right now, these two quarterbacks are too good, whichever way you want to go. I'm a Caleb guy, but if you like Drake May more, I'll put my hands up. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's better in the pocket. Both of these guys, to me, are better prospects, and I think with better NFL quarterbacks.
They won't even have an opportunity to take Drake, though, regardless.
They took a number 1.
Nah, they want to take him number 1.
Drake he's a number 1 overall pick prospect.
No, but I think it's been so much Caleb hype. I don't see a world where he doesn't go.
Drake's stock throughout the entirety of this season has just been right there with Caleb.
I'm just saying it's been too much hype for
I
Caleb
understand.
not to go 1. Like,
I
I think
agree.
Caleb goes 1 regardless. You don't got to apologize to me, man. I love Justin Fields. I'm sort of stuck in the fandom and reality role here. I love Justin Fields. I think he's going to be great in Chicago. I think he's going to be great if he goes to Atlanta. I think he's definitely had a very peculiar career in terms of, his first year wasn't very good. Last year struggled, but also the front office, the coach didn't put him in a position to really succeed. A little bit of both, him not improving, front office not helping him out. This year, he started off slow, kind of picked it up after the injury. DJ Moore has been great for him for sure. The defense kicked it up, I want to say, after like week 8 or some shit like that. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Poles, man. He had a great draft for sure. Dexter, Stevenson, Jaquan Brisker, he picked up, I believe, last year. They've been good. This defense is young. It has no real old players. Even Edmund and TJ Edwards, they're not old. They're about 26, 27 years of age. So this defense is young. It's scrappy. Offensively, they need, I want to say, another receiver that can get them in there. Their running back group is cool, but I think like another receiver, like maybe a Marvin Harrison Jr. would get them definitely to the big picture. But in terms of Caleb or Justin Fields, the financial, restrictions, I understand it. You're basically picking up a generational prospect for 4 years, to a team that's probably a quarterback away and maybe a couple more pieces from being competitive in the NFC. I think this team, if they make another offseason and they bring in Caleb or they have Fields, they're going to be a competitive team next year. They could possibly get 8 wins this Sunday, and I think basically going off what they've had going through this year, 8 wins was crazy at first.
Yeah.
So to possibly get to 8 wins now, I think it's something great to see. I think you have to look at both aspects. You have to look at it from a fan perspective and, of course, from, just a football perspective. You have the fans cheering, we want Fields, the city rallying
awesome.
behind. Yeah,
That's
city.
a great moment.
I haven't seen the city rally behind a player like this since like Derrick Rose for me in my lifetime. So the city rallying behind Fields, it'd be tough, but you got to understand it from the point of Fields has improved, but at the same time, Caleb could probably come in and be better than him. And that's something you possibly can't, you can't miss. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's something you can't miss. If Caleb is generational, if he is what you say he is, if he comes in, he could possibly change the franchise. So it's like, it's a bit of both. My fandom, of course, is going to tell me keep Fields. I want to see Fields.
What would you do if you were Poles?
If I was Poles?
Say you could get a 2nd or 3rd round pick for Fields, because that's what the report is.
And then tough. If I'm Poles, I gotta look at the situation like he's too much to pass on. You know, Caleb is amazing. You know, Caleb is a generational prospect. But I have to make sure it's right. I have to have the coach in play to also create that connection and also continue to help him get better. I cannot have another situation where I bring in a talented quarterback that has all the tools and I bring in the wrong coaching staff, or I have the wrong coaching staff and then he flops before my eyes. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I think Caleb is too good to flop. You know, I think in a situation where you possibly could have Caleb and you could have Marvin Harrison Jr. already having DJ Moore in the roster, already having a defense. I don't think it's crazy to trade Justin Fields for a second-round pick. But I also don't think it's crazy to keep Justin Fields on the other side, trade the number 1 pick, because that haul you can get back for the number 1 pick. You see what you got for the haul.
Probably more.
Yeah, you'll get more for that. Like, you're looking at teams like Commanders or a team like the Patriots. Like,
because you could go from 1 to 3 if Commanders have 3. Probably pick up an extra first still.
Get Jonathan Marvin. Allen. Like, so you can get – there's a lot. But I think, like, you can – I think – you're fine both ways, but I think the obvious answer is you pick up Caleb, you know, and you trade Justin Fields to Atlanta or some shit for a second. Whoever's offering you the best deal, which is probably going to be Atlanta. I think Justin Fields would be great in Atlanta. You get that second-round pick, but you know, you take Caleb, keep building up this defense, keep bringing in offensive talent. Because even there's receivers in this. Like, I was watching the game on Washington. I saw about 3-4 receivers that might go in the draft.
Roma Dunze.
Yeah, like, so there's receivers that even if you miss on Marvins, I think you'll still be okay.
Roma Dunze solid. Malik Neighbors is really good.
I heard
Brock
Xavier
Bowers.
Worthy is not bad either. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some dudes. So
Mitchell's really
yeah, I think they'll be fine either way. I think Chicago is in the perfect position of I really don't think they could fail either way. It's just which one will lead you more to prolonged success. And I think picking up the rookie for a 3-4 year reset, I think that's the better option.
You can sell me on the idea and the vision that Justin Fields should be the long-term player for the Bears. You can sell me on the vision that Justin Fields should be in a Bears uniform next year. With DJ Moore coming back, they can draft the highly touted and talented receiver, whether it's Marvin Harrison Jr. or Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors. I mean, there's a lot in this draft that can help this Bears team, and Cole Kmet is a solid tight end. But is anybody questioning, especially Bears fans, I ask you this question, what if Caleb is better? From all the scenarios that Bears fans are laying out, they are making their case for Justin Fields, and they are only viewing this decision from the perspective that Fields continues to improve and becomes a great quarterback. But what if the opposite is true? What if Caleb is better? What if Drake is better? What if they're legitimate top 10 quarterbacks and you're just stuck with good? This past draft, they traded back from the first pick to go get DJ Moore and extra draft capital. If they were to redo that, do they draft CJ Stroud? I think they probably draft CJ Stroud and they move on from Justin Fields. This decision becomes easier when you look into how the Bears have been winning games since week 11, since Justin Fields has come back from injury. The Bears are 4-2, and people that think quarterback wins is indeed a quarterback stat, they will attribute this stat to why Fields should stay. But since week 11, the Bears defense is first in EPA per play. It has been statistically one of the best defenses in football. They have 18 total turnovers in 6 games. That's 3 turnovers per game. The offense has been 18th in dropback EPA, 29th in dropback success rate. So as a dropback passing offense during this win streak where they've been 4-2, when they've been winning games, they are one of the worst passing offenses still. They're 9th in rush EPA, and they're 18th, and they're 19th in rush success rate. Despite them being 4-2 in the last 6 games, this offense has been well below average, and the defense is carrying them to wins. And if you don't want to buy into these team stats, the individual stats don't look much better. Fields, in this 4-2 stretch, is completing 60% of his passes. He has 8 total touchdowns to 5 turnovers and has a passer rating of 80.9. If you are judging this 6-game stretch as the means as to why Justin Fields should remain the quarterback for the Bears long term, 80.9 passer rating is what you're going to buy into. These aren't exceptional stats. Justin Fields has been average. Has he had some games in the mix where he's played awesome? Yes, he played awesome against the Falcons. But for the most part, even when they've been winning, Justin Fields in the offense has been average. I think it's an easy decision. You draft the quarterback at 1, whether it's Caleb or Drake May. I think both are better prospects than keeping Justin Fields. This isn't even just about financials. This is strictly about the potential of what I think either of those two can be versus the potential of what I think Justin Fields can be. I think Justin Fields is good. He's solid, but he's not going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's why the Bears should move on.
Have you ever looked at it from the other side, though?
If they're bad?
No, what if Caleb flops?
You have looked at it from the other side.
What if
Yes.
Justin Fields doesn't improve?
Yeah, I think it's no, because I'm mad because he said like, what if Justin Fields doesn't what if Caleb comes in, he's better. But what if Caleb flops? Like, what if there's a situation where the same problems Caleb has in college translates to the NFL and he doesn't improve that? What if the situation is Caleb isn't this generational talent? If he is, because I don't want to say Trevor Lawrence isn't good, but we thought Trevor Lawrence was a generational prospect. He's still a great quarterback nonetheless, but he hasn't lived up to the same expectations. What if the same thing happens to Caleb and they're in a different situation? Like,
I think you still take the chance.
I think
sure,
the
I agree.
situation is much easier to recover from, and here's why. If you select Drake May or Caleb and they flop, let's say one of them flop. If they flop their first season, the Bears front office will do whatever they can to get that second season right. Which means that you move on from Matt Eberflus, you go get an actually offensive-minded head coach, and then you see what happens from there. If the Bears don't take Caleb or Drake May and they stick with Justin Fields next year and Fields doesn't make drastic improvements and Eberflus doesn't lead the Bears to the playoffs, not only does Justin Fields become a question mark of where if you want to pay him, but Matt Eberflus now becomes fired. I mean, this is a coach that Bears fans 6 weeks ago thought that should have been fired.
Yeah.
Even
He
when
was
they were
on his
winning
way,
games,
for sure.
Bears fans thought he still should have been fired. So you're talking about keeping an entire regime together that is proven to not even have a playoff game appearance yet, and you're banking on them versus banking on at least the potential. I find it very hard to believe that Caleb Williams will fail given the Bears' current offensive situation and what they can potentially add to the situation as well.